All right, everybody, get ready for more of this.
Immigrants are welcome here. Stop the hate. Stop the fear. Immigrants are welcome here. Stop the hate. Stop the fear.
Legal immigration.
When did the U.S. government go into the orphanage business?
Please use the word illegal aliens. They came across here illegally.
Immigration is wonderful, but legal immigration and not coming and taking from our families and our children.
We have no rights. We have no rights whatsoever.
Who's going to take care of them? Are they going to be schooled? Where?
It's not right. Now billions of dollars want to be borrowed from the White House to help feed and house them. What about the kids here? In our neighborhood, in our country?
We need the National Guard on that border.
Because the illegal immigration crisis is coming to a state near you if it isn't there already. Welcome, everyone. I'm Stuart Varney in for Neil Cavuto. This is Your World. At least 10 states now directly affected by this border crisis. Illegal immigrants arriving by bus or plane or about to arrive shortly. They include northern states like New York and Massachusetts. And in many cases, the public is being kept in the dark. To Mike Tobin in Chicago, where they are also seeing an influx. Mike?
Senator Mark Kirk of Illinois, Stewart, and Dave Heineman of Nebraska are two politicians who say illegals are being sent to their states, but they claim they can't get any information from the federal government about who is being sent there, their backgrounds, where they are staying specifically, or for how long.
We'll be trying to find out where the detention facilities are in the state of Illinois. And I have not been told where these the addresses of these facilities. I think that would be an enormous reform that we could ensure the safety and security of these kids.
Why are they conducting a secret operation, essentially, transporting them all over the country, and now we learn to Nebraska, and the federal government won't tell us what's going on?
Now, Senator Kirk says this immigration crisis has been handled with such incompetence, it will become President Obama's Katrina. It's already hurting the Democratic Party, he says. Now, given the number of children who have been separated from their parents in the process, Kirk says they have become vulnerable to traffickers. Now, one Illinois congressman, a Democrat, says this immigration mess has been created by a law signed by President Bush back in 2008. And instead of helping children in crisis, he says conservative politicians are jumping at the political game.
The law was established when level-headed members of Congress that didn't have a crisis at the border to exploit, a president they didn't like, and a situation that they thought was for purely political gain during the next elections, level-headed people said America treats children differently.
Now, right about this time, Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois is getting a tour of a Chicagoland shelter where children are being held. He is a Democrat. Stewart?
Thanks, Mike. The president wants a $3.7 billion. He wants $3.7 billion to fix the problem. But would it be cheaper to fly all of these illegal immigrants back to Central America? Wisconsin Republican Congressman Sean Duffy, he's co-sponsoring legislation that would speed up the process. Congressman, clearly it would be cheaper to fly them back, got that. But can you do it? Can you fly them back immediately when we in America are giving them all lawyers so they can stay here?
Well, that's right, Stuart. Right now, the way the president is implementing the law, these children who have come to our border are going to be here, if not for 2 years, 3 or 4 years before they're going to be processed. And we don't think many will be processed. They'll be given amnesty. So what we want to do is change the law and allow our government to quickly process these kids and send them back to their home countries, back to be home with their parents. And Stuart, this does something else. The president has sent a message to all these Central American companies that if you send your child on this horrendous journey where they might be raped, abused, murdered, or maimed, they'll get amnesty. If the president would just say, hey, listen, if you send them to the American border, we're going to send them home. And then if we actually process the kids quickly and send them back to their home country, that sends a message to these parents and the next wave of kids. Don't send them. Don't endanger them. It's the right American thing to do.
Do you think it would, I mean, I hate to say this, but look bad if you're putting young children forcibly onto a plane to take them back to Central America?
Oh.
I can see, I can see how Democrats and Hispanics would say, wait a minute, look what you're doing. You're being harsh to children. Those Republicans, they don't like Hispanics. They're being harsh to kids. They would say that.
Not true. First of all, we care about this dangerous journey the kids are going on coming up from Central America. The horrific stories that we hear. I was a former prosecutor, Stuart. The most horrific cases you'll try are child sexual assault cases. That we have a policy where kids are being raped on this journey is deplorable. But not only that, we believe that we should have children with parents. And if we reunify these kids with their parents, that is the right policy instead of distributing the children throughout the American countryside with people they don't know. That's not humane. That's not right.
Do you think there is a bipartisan feeling coming about that this is wrong? There's got to be something done about this, that we cannot have this border influx continuing.
Yeah, listen, I think most Republicans agree that we have to send some money down there to help the kids who, listen, I mean, they have scabies and other diseases. We've got to help get them well. But I think most Republicans think we should send them back to their parents. And a lot of Democrats, they're divided. Some agree with us that this is not the right policy. But others, you aired some of those interviews, think that we should have an open border and allow these kids to continue to flow into our country, contrary to our immigration laws. Which this is a Democrat issue, but we probably have half the Democrats on with us.
Congressman Sean Duffy, Republican, Wisconsin, thanks for joining us, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stuart.
Now let's go to John Roberts in Mission, Texas, getting a first-hand look at this border crisis. John.
Down here on the Rio Grande with Mexico, just on the other side of the river, about 100 yards away, Stuart. And there is, amid this crisis, the first glimmer of potential good news. And that is, according to the Border Patrol, over the last few days, the number of migrants that have been apprehended has been reduced from about 1,200 per day down now to 700 per day, though nobody is willing to jump on any kind of a claim that it is a trend at this point. We also got a look, the very first time cameras have ever been allowed into the McAllen Border Patrol detention facility. In that facility, we found about 460 people, down from a peak of 1,500. Still a lot of family units there, a lot of unaccompanied children, though perhaps not as many as before, and a lot of men, as many as 80 of them, crammed into a very small containment facility. The reason for the reduction, probably a seasonal lull. Illegal immigration tends to fall off a bit in July and August. The Border Patrol also thinks that all of the media coverage of this may actually be filtering through to Central America, and people are reconsidering whether or not to make that arduous journey. However, the problem still remains, and is still a big one. I toured the border on Saturday night with Texas Republican Congressman Louis Gohmert. He is a fierce critic of the president's request for $3.7 billion in emergency aid to deal with the situation, saying you could do it much more cheaply, much more simply, if you simply sent most of the people who come across the border illegally back home.
We have got to deal with this problem. And when you stand out here at 2 in the morning, you see little babies, you know, your heart goes out for them. You know, what kind of person brings them? Well, people that are sure they're going to be able to stay.
And if they believe they can stay, they will keep coming. Three basic groups of people. There are the family units, women with children or pregnant women, then there are the unaccompanied children and the adults. In those last two groups, Border Patrol told me they are seeing an increase in the number of gang members, the notorious MS-13, and teenagers who may be vulnerable to recruitment.
They're going to, disperse throughout the country. A lot of them head up to the East Coast, some of them to the West Coast. And, they do the recruitment, and they're a pretty vicious gang. A lot of machete works, chopping heads and selling drugs and prostitution. They get into the whole range of things.
Of course, all of this also part of a big criminal enterprise. That side of the border is very much controlled by the drug cartels, each of whom is being paid thousands of dollars for each migrant that comes across the Mexico-U.S. border, Stuart.
John, how are they actually transporting them from where you are up to New York and Massachusetts?
They're mostly going by bus. There are a few people, if they have appropriate identification, are able to get on aircraft. There had been a story out there that people's notice to appear was enough of an identification for them to get on aircraft, but the TSA has pushed back strongly against that, saying no, they would have to have some sort of government identification to get on an airplane. But most of the people, Stuart, that we have seen who have left McAllen are doing it by bus. They're going anywhere from Manassas, Virginia to Seattle, Washington, basically being flung to the four corners of this country.
The people you've seen, how many of them are really young kids and how many of them are older teenagers?
There are a lot of young kids, and most of the youngest of the kids are coming in with their mother. We don't see a lot of fathers coming in these so-called, quote, family units. A lot of the unaccompanied children were perhaps early teens, tweens, or maybe in their later tweens, and an awful lot of adults, too. And the way that it works here is the family units and the unaccompanied children, they want to get caught. But the adults who know that they'll be sent back more quickly, they do not want to get caught. So it poses a dual problem for the Border Control, dealing with all of these family units and children that they have to pick up and then chasing the adults through sugarcane fields in some case, where I mean it's like a cornfield on steroids. You can get so easily lost in there.
Got it. All right, John, thank you very much indeed. Conservatives who want to take our country back are racist? The United States Attorney General just said it. Meet the CEO who cannot believe it.